nights next year. Pre-sale for tickets began this morning with some fans battling technical issues with Ticketmaster's website. General sale begins on Friday morning for anyone who didn't get an access code for today. Showbiz editor for the Sunday World, Eddie Rowley, has this advice for people who missed out.
I would say to people, even if you don't get the tickets on Friday after they're all gone, don't be disheartened. There's always next year, and in that industry, tickets do come back to the official promoter and are officially put on sale later on in next year. So there will still be hope.
And that's your news for now.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Best birthday present ever. Give a Ryanair gift card.
Clear spells and scattered showers at first, but rain and drizzle will develop overnight. Lows of 9 to 12 degrees with a very light breeze. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Newsround on Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
It is Tuesday nights Off the Ball. We've got a really good show coming up. Sarah Lavin will be in studio with us talking about what's been a fantastic summer for her so far. She has won a bronze medal at the European Games, quickly followed up by qualifying for her second Olympics. We're exactly 1 year away from the Paris Olympiad, and she has got her ticket booked already. So we'll be talking to Sarah in the next hour. Kathleen McNamee and Sinead O'Carroll with us a little bit later on this hour from Perth, ahead of Ireland's what feels like, if not a must-win, a must-get-a-result-in game against Canada at the World Cup tomorrow. And then after 9 o'clock, Anthony Nash, two-time All-Star with Cork, will be with us to talk about 5 reasons why Limerick have retained their All-Ireland hurling title. Delighted to say Anne-Marie Donelan's here with us.
I sure am.
And Mick McCarthy's here as well.
Hey, well, we're out if we lose tomorrow, aren't we?
It will be out of our hands at that point because of the draw.
Yeah.
I think even a draw puts into a position where you need a favour from Australia. So it's a must-result game. I guess fair way of putting it.
Fair enough, yeah.
Do you want to break it to the listeners that we're not doing a tangent tonight?
Well, there you go, Will. Job done.
Well, it's not my fault.
Well, it's not my fault.
As producer, you can explain
what
we're
not my fault, as in, look who's featuring. No tangent tonight. We've too much on the show, and Joe's not here.
As I said, the real reason
is Joe the glue of tangent. That's what I suppose. Text in or let us know on YouTube. Is it can we do a slight tangent without Joe? We've done one without everybody else, I think, but I don't think we've.
Well, I don't have access to the email, so that was fairly crucial for Joe to be here.
I could send them on. It's that's okay, but I don't know. Maybe we need to kind of step out of ourselves and not our. Joe's that conductor. Maybe someone else could do that job. I'm sure you'd be more than capable of.
We did a version which we called Where There's a Will, There's a Way last summer when he was away. And I think Joe heard it and went, that's a very catchy jingle. I don't like you doing it. So
it was a jingle for it?
Yeah.
I wasn't here for this either, by the way.
Oh, yeah, no. Pete,
I think
Pete
both
put it
of us
together.
were off.
Pete did it, I think, while we're in the middle of doing the piece.
Pete looks very proud when I look at him.
He was, because we came back from half time and I'm like, what is this musical interlude that we're about to hear? Where there's a will, there's a way played out. But no, the tangent cannot be imitated. We were on a fantastic run up until tonight.
I'd started to set my watch on a Tuesday night by you.
Wow. That's probably the biggest compliment we're ever going to get.
Next week. Is it back next week?
It is definitely back next week, right? We will definitely have it next week on the show. I'd say there's a 10% chance we could have it tomorrow.
I'm not ruling it out.
It's not ruled in, and I don't mean it's not a hint. As of now, we won't be because we have too much on the show. That's more important, let's face it, than a slight tangent. But
sacrilege.
I know. I'm sorry.
After the quiz went last week as well. You're taking
no quiz this week either, Will. All-Ireland final break for the quizzes. They'll be back in full force in a couple of weeks, though.
I suppose the argument you're about to make, people will be wanting it even more after the little break.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing to do with the fact that I've had road shows 2 Thursday nights in a row and don't have time to write the quiz.
Yeah. Look, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to some of the interviews you have coming up tonight as well. Delighted we're able to get Sarah Lavin on the show, Mick. What a summer she's had. Very, very much determined to try and even bring her times down by a few hundredths of a second yet. Wants to chase her hero Derval O'Rourke's record. And for someone who's gone from times in the kind of 12.8 last year and doing reasonably well, has now brought it down to in the 12.6s and has at this stage qualified for an Olympic Games, got her first major medal as a senior athlete. I think you put that down as a pretty decent summer.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's been a journey. I mean, she talks about it a little bit of you move from junior to senior racing and everything doesn't always go to plan, and she had a few years there where it was a struggle, but certainly not at the moment, and it's brilliant. And one thing actually, and it's a little sneak preview of the piece, but there's a bit you say towards well into the piece, but it's just something that I loved, right, where we're talking about kind of like green shoots for Irish athletics. You're like, Irish records have been broken all over the place, and it wasn't a bat of an eyelid. It was like, well, they have to. It's like we're coming from a poor enough place here. It's time we started. If Irish records aren't being broken, then what chance have we on the international stage? Love the attitude. It's exactly what we need, isn't it? As opposed to sort of existing almost in a bubble of sort of like consistent improvement or whatever, while the international field overtakes us, for want. I don't mean to be literally using that terminology from racing, but it's exactly it. And look, she's already been rewarded this year with a medal at international games. So
look, by her own admission, set a new stadium record at Morton in Santry the week before last, so it's probably going to be better that time if she's going to get through in the Worlds in Belgrade to go to a major final. So they are the yardsticks that have to be met, and each yardstick gets a little bit more impressive along the way. Marie, we're going to take a look at a lot of the stories here on the news round. We're going to start understandably with the Republic of Ireland camp, because Vera Pauw gave us a very important injury update earlier today.
Yeah, she said that she is a bit concerned about Louise Quinn's fitness. The defender has been nursing a foot injury since their opening Women's World Cup loss to Australia last Thursday. Quinn and Heather Payne, who had strapping on for a hamstring niggle, did train in Perth today ahead of tomorrow's group game against Canada. The Olympic champions opened their campaign with a 0-0 draw with Nigeria, which makes Group B much more open. Speaking to the media today, Pauw said that her side have to get something out of this game.
Winning starts with not losing, and that is a very cliche, but very much true. So if you play a game like this against the Olympic champion, you have to stay realistic. But it's clear that do we want to go through this group? Then we need a result. That's clear. If we win, we have it in our own hands. If we have a draw, then we're dependent on other results, even if we win from Nigeria.
Meanwhile then, Kira Carusa says there are a number of positives that Ireland will take into the game from that loss against Australia. She said that the way they finished the 90 minutes out impressively will particularly stand to them.
Those last, I'd say like the last 25 minutes, especially those last key minutes of the Australia game, it did really light a fire under us and kind of show this 90 plus minute team that we have in us, and the ability, the dangers we have in us throughout an entire game. And I'd say that definitely was something that we take away, having looked back on the game and going forward, that we want to continue to bring into this game, and kind of remember that we are reliable, and we have that endurance, we have that longevity to make sure that we can come up with a result in the 90 plus minute or at any minute in the game. So I'd say that was definitely a positive leaving the Australia game.
Mick, to go back to Vera Pauw's first comment there, that could have been the mantra of the regime. Winning starts with not losing.
It doesn't suggest we're going gung-ho tomorrow, does it?
No.
I'm okay with that though. I think we have to be on, being slightly negative, the Nigeria-Canada result was brilliant for us, them drawing with each other. So, if Ireland get a draw tomorrow and can beat Nigeria, which is far from, it's probably more likely than beating Canada, let's put it that way, as opposed to saying that it's a possibility. I'd be surprised if 4 points wouldn't be good enough, because Canada will have to beat Australia.
Yeah.
And then I suppose
Australia could be qualified is the only one thing.
Possibly, yeah, but that's a fair point. But
them's the breaks.
At the same time, they still have to beat them at home. Australia aren't going to be throwing games in their home venue, So I don't know. I still don't think we're doing too badly, I have to say. I think a draw tomorrow, and we'll still be pretty positive, I would imagine. Unless Nigeria beat Australia or something,
and scripts ripped up if that happens,
cats among the pigeons.
We will talk to both Sinead and Kathleen a bit later in Perth about that. Ireland, these games coming into it, for the best part, the 4 games they've played, the 2 against the USA, the France game, and the game against Australia, it's 7 against, none scored.
I was going to say, it's a while since we scored a goal, isn't it? Yeah. That said though, it is funny when you're doing the stories, Anne-Marie, the only thing I'm thinking of is I can't imagine an Ireland team without Louise Quinn.
Yeah.
So as much
as we do need to improve going forward, like, she was brilliant against Australia, and like, we just can't lose her.
Well, Heather Payne's the other concern, because Heather Payne, again, the journalists were at the first 2 minutes of the training session earlier today. Apparently it's a very heavy strapping around the hamstring, and when you're looking at a player who's reliant on breaking lines and speed and pace, you don't want a hamstring issue coming into the game. So hopefully Heather Payne's going to be okay. I think Diane Caldwell probably comes in for Louise, but you want Louise Quinn to be playing.
Exactly, yeah. Like, Diane Caldwell will do a job and will probably play at some point in the World Cup, like you would imagine anyway, and has loads of experience. But like, there's kind of only one Louise Quinn.
Yeah, no, agreed. Anne-Marie, elsewhere today, Norway drawn a blank.
Yeah, Switzerland and Norway finished up goalless in Group A. Also in that group, the Philippines secured a 1-0 win over co-hosts New Zealand, and in Group H, Colombia beat Korea Republic 2-0.
Colombia, our most hated team after the start of the tournament, but they've started reasonably well. Mona McSherry, how'd she get on today, Emery?
She finished 5th in the 100 metre breaststroke final at the World Aquatics Championships in Japan. The Sligo swimmer was lying 2nd with less than 20 metres to go, but not to be for her today. 5th though overall. Elsewhere then, Daniel Wiffen advanced to the final of the 800 metres freestyle with a new Irish record time of 7 minutes 43.81 seconds, and that also saw him book his place at next year's Olympic Games.
Daniel Wiffen's been flying.
I was about to say, we are not talking enough or paying enough attention as a sporting country to Daniel Wiffen ahead of the Olympics here. Like, he is going to, we'll see what he does now in the final. Obviously he's qualified another Irish record. Every time he swims it's an Irish record at the moment, but like, it's class in the swimming, because like, Mona McSherry's in an Olympic final, makes a world final, improves on her performance, finishes 5th, isn't far off the elite of the elite in her in her discipline. And now we've got Daniel Wiffen as a up and coming youngster who's like tearing up the pool. It's like, it'd be so good if we go into the Olympics next year with like a serious interest in the swimming, followed by a serious interest in, and I mean medal interest in the track and field when it comes a week later. Well, I'm not jumping ahead of myself a little bit, but it is certainly better than it was a few years ago.
Yeah, I got a DM on the back of the Tangent last week, because we were talking about, I think one of the questions that we never really got to address fully was individual sports, and the fact that so many Irish youngsters are put into field sports if they're elite athletes. And he was pointing out Daniel Wiffen is flying it at the moment, European and world level. Keep an eye on him.
I've had a couple of conversations with people who know what they're talking about, and they're saying that this guy his trajectory is so good.
He's the real deal.
We're talking even by next year we're start thinking medals.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, I'm just saying that that's the form he's in at the moment.
Yeah. Anne-Marie, tell us about the draw for the next round of the FAI Cup then.
Yeah, it was made this evening, and one of the last 2 winners will be out at the second stage round, as Derry City, the holders, have been drawn to take on 2021 champions St. Pat's, that one taking place at the Brandywell. Elsewhere then, Finn Harps will entertain Skerries Town. UCD are set to host Galway United. Cork City have been drawn against Munster neighbours Waterford. St. Patrick's CY will take on Wexford. Kerry are set to meet Drogheda. Dundalk will go to Bray Wanderers, and Bohemians will face Rockmount AFC.
Nottingham Forest squad, I think, is now about 156 players at this stage. They've signed a player from Man United today.
Yeah, they have. Nottingham Forest have signed forward Anthony Elanga from Manchester United. It's believed in a deal worth €17.5 million. The 21-year-old Sweden international agreed a 5-year deal. He scored 3 goals in 39 Premier League games after coming through the youth ranks at Old Trafford. He had been on United's pre-season tour of the United States, but travelled back to complete the move.
I remember a time, Mick, when he was the next hope for United. Not that long ago.
Garnacho.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
Garnacho is very good.
I know.
You're just kind of writing him off, saying he's...
No, I am not. No, nothing like that.
He'll be at Wolves in 18 months' time,
we have to wait and see, I guess, because Elanga was in this position 2 years ago.
Anne-Marie, tell us about Stoke City's Irish appointment.
Yeah, that is Marie Hourihan. Stoke City have appointed the former Irish international Marie Hourihan as their first full-time women's head coach. The 34-year-old joins the club from London Bees and will take charge of the side's first season as a semi-professional outfit. The ex-goalkeeper won the Women's Super League with Chelsea and Manchester City, as well as lifting the Women's FA Cup with both clubs and Birmingham City.
I want to get into the fact that it's a killer for sport that matches can be decided with the weather, with what happened with the Ashes at the weekend. But maybe that's one for the tangent tomorrow.
No, we might have a little bit of time.
Keep it nice. 9 o'clock, maybe. Yeah, keep it nice for now. But in the cricket today, Anne-Marie, Ireland got set a massive total. Did okay and then kind of collapsed.
Yeah, the Irish women's cricket team were beaten by 153 runs by Australia in their one-day international in Clontarf. Ireland set a target of 322 and were all out for 168. The Aussies lead the series 1-0 with the sides meeting again on Friday.
Okay, time for the Women's World Cup show in a moment. Anne-Marie, thanks a million.
Thanks.
Cheers for now, Mick. Cheers.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's Summer Cash Machine.
2 rollovers in a row after someone else missed the call today. It means if you've entered since 5 p.m. on Friday, you're still in to win, but you need to know this new number: €32,545.73. Text play to 5755.